Hello, everybody, and Happy New Year, and welcome to the January 2nd Trips and Traps. Andy Serling, joined by Eric Donovan.
It's 2014, but we'll take a look at our final races from 2013 for this episode of Trips and Traps, and we'll get 4 races to bring you. We'll start off with the action the day after Christmas, December 26th, race number 5, 12-5 claimer for fillies and mares going a mile and 70.
I think the first thing that people notice, and I certainly noticed, is a horse that got in trouble in this race, and that's the number 9 in those sort of pale silks that we're looking at, one inside the gray horse. That horse had obvious trouble. But I think the second place finisher, in retrospect, Go Olivia Go, was the one who ran the best race at all, as she broke slowly in this race, was steadied back a length or so, and she seemed to be sort of running hard into the race almost the entire way, Eric.
I agree with you 100%. I think Go Olivia Go's trouble, stumbling at the start for a horse that could have been up a little closer here and had some, easier position on her own, is toward the back of the pack in here, and obviously the number 9 horse, Get Gorgeous, is the one that has the obvious trouble.
Yeah, I think that Manny Esquivel did a very good job with Get Gorgeous, getting her into good position. The problem was you have to be always seeing as a rider 1 or 2 steps ahead, and he really didn't do that in the situation. So as you see him sitting in third very well here, you see Go Olivia Go, whose rider I think did a good job here, and that was Manny Franco, just sort of trying to get her into position in this race, and he's now actually gotten her ahead of the eventual winner of the 11 Mile Bridal Storm. Now maybe in retrospect more patience would have helped him. I don't really know. I just do think she ran the best overall race, though I think that Get Gorgeous might have won the race with a cleaner trip, but it might have been a perfect trip.
Yeah, I think it's kind of debatable. I mean, a cleaner trip for Get Gorgeous, or maybe a less eventful trip for Go Olivia Go, who I thought moved up, because of the stumble at the start, was forced to move up a little early, whereas could have been in this position without having it been asked for as they approach the half-mile pole here.
Yeah, I mean, Go Olivia Go, as I said, I think she ran hard the whole way, and you see a sort of patient ride by Rod Ortiz, who's now moving up the rarely in the winner's circle Mile Bridal Storm, who finally found the right field and got the right set of circumstances. Now, Go Olivia Go will be easy to see. She's moved up 3 wide. She'll be very game in the stretch. Behind her, just keep your eye on this horse in those pale blue silks, and that's Get Gorgeous, because she's going to be in the 2 path between and behind horses in the stretch. And at this point, there's a problem. She's not going to be able to thread the eye of the needle. She's going to really have to hope things open up substantially. There's a chance they're going to here. The door gets shut, and the door gets shut very badly. And really, she's stalled in traffic for a good 3 to 4 seconds there, while the other horses that she was with have gotten momentum and 4 lengths on her, and she was left with no chance.
No chance here, but, was it the kind of race where this was the time to have her? She was getting a pretty good trip up to the point she got trouble in. This was a drop in class for her coming out of some state-bred, one of the thens. Was this the right kind of spot for her to win today?
I totally agree. Well, also, not only that, you got $6.20 to 1. So you're getting $14.40. If they ran the race again, all things considered, you might be getting $9 on her. And so even if she is good enough, which we don't really know, you're not going to get paid the next time. So this was, as you say, the day to cash her. And I like these drop downs. The first time they dropped down, this was the right spot. The field set up well for her. She got the good position. She ended up getting in trouble. She's not a trap going forward. She's just not necessarily a horse I'm looking to bet at a short price. Go Olivia Go's in good form. These aren't killers, these horses. I'd, in a way, and I think you'll agree, be looking for strangers to bet against them. If they all met up again, I think Go Olivia Go ran the better race.
I agree with you. I think Go Olivia Go, probably a similar price to Get Gorgeous next time if they met up would be the better bet, actually.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, and I bet Get Gorgeous in this race. I think I could have won, but I still think Go Olivia Go ran the best race.
All right, we'll go to the 6th race now from December 26th, the maiden special weight for 3-year-olds and up, going 6 furlongs.
This is a race where the favorite, it's hard. Listen, it's always very easy for all of us to be armchair jockeys and sit there and watch these races. And we're talking about the favorite here, Cost Effective. And in a way, Cost Effective should have won this race, but I think that we both kind of agree this is a horse that's a trap going forward because he's just not that good.
No, he's not that good. He's had chances. This was his 8th career start. This is his last final start as a 3-year-old. And, to this point here, he's in a decent enough spot if he can make a good rally. I think the jockey just makes a pretty poor decision approaching the 5/16 pole, but we'll see that as we get into it here. But you're right, Cost Effective, a horse that's going to be a short price off this kind of trip next time out that doesn't have to win.
Yeah, and keep in mind, it's this trip, and maybe he should have won this race, but he also saved ground here. It's at this point in here, and you're going to see it if we stop, we're going to stop it very soon, that Rod Ortiz makes a decision. He aggressively goes inside of the horse who's 4th in front of him. That's the eventual winner. Had he gone outside of that horse, he would have lost very little ground because he would have made that move midway or more through the turn. So it wouldn't have been a big ground loss, and he would have had options to go around, and he might have kept the 1 a bit in his pocket. Instead, every horse horse in the race seem to keep Cost Effective in their hip pocket.
Very true. If he tips out 3 wide and then goes 4 wide to go around the 8 horse there frame, he can keep everyone hemmed down inside. Instead, he's the one being hemmed down inside by just about the whole field in here. And Erod Ortiz has ridden tremendously well throughout the inter-track meet here so far, but this I don't think was one of his better decisions. And a decision you see a lot of apprentice riders make where they get in their head they got to save ground on the inter-track. Where you just tip out 2 passes, you're not going to lose that much ground, you're not going to lose that much momentum, and you'll stay out of a whole lot of trouble.
No, and it's a very difficult job for a jockey to be making these split-second decisions and to always make the absolute right decision. In this case, he made what turned out to be the wrong decision. I think one of the times you do have to think about your horse's price. When you ride an even money shot, Richie Migliore talks about this. When you're riding 30-to-1 shots, you take shots. He didn't even take a shot there. He just took a risk for no real reason, put his horse in a position where he might get in trouble. And horses very often don't want to go through on the inside, something we talk about in this show. However, Cost Effective going forward, I'll be looking for the strangers. I know you will be too.
New Year's Eve, the day of our next race, the race number 2, a maiden special weight for 2-year-olds going 5.5 furlongs. Looking at the Leo O'Brien first here that took some play, American Progress, the 6.
Always funny to watch head-ons of races and then see the pans, because without the head-on, you know that American Progress steadied out. When you see the head-on, you can see how severe the cause of it was. The 5 comes out badly, totally shuts the door on Cost Effective. Now, American Progress broke a step slow, but the 5 shut the door on him. This was the last international good thing, actually the second to last international good thing of 2013.
Indeed, American Progress going off at the 7-2 took some more play early on, but you see back a couple lengths behind the field already with that trouble at the start.
Yeah, I recall Jason saying when we came upstairs to do the pre-race prattle, I've already gotten 3 tips, and you see American Progress getting a little bit of a steady there early. He's already gotten 3 tips on him. It's tough for a rider because at this point, it's frustrating because Abel Castellano was on a horse he knew was live, and he was very live. He ran well. But once that happens to the start, he's going to have to be so much the best, especially as a firster to win. And this was not a particularly bad field. The horses who are 1-2 at this point were the 2 favorites in this race, and justifiably so. And they were just very much the horses to beat. I think American Progress, though, showed some real run in this race, getting into the race and making a big 4-wide run.
Yeah, eventually he'll only get beat by 4 lengths here, and then makes this 4-wide run right now, as you had mentioned. And it's always a tough call for a jockey here after getting into some trouble at the start, especially with the first-time starter. Do you sit back and try to make one late run, or do you try to get up into contention and see how well you can do from there? And you see a little bit of green still. Maybe the 6 American Progress might benefit from this race as well. Some horses coming out a little bit. Maybe he's shying away, perhaps. But a race that he'll definitely benefit from if he moves forward second time out. He's going to be real tough.
Yeah, I like the rider put him in the game. He's got to still see. Maybe Iris is good enough to win it. He ends up getting beaten 4 lengths for all the money in this race. Had a couple lengths of trouble at the start. He had to move wide in here. I thought the horse ran very well in American Progress for the Leo O'Brien barn, which has been pretty hot lately. They've had 2 winners in the last week or so. I think he's a horse that's going to be tough to beat in his second start at probably a short price.
Yep. All right, one more race to bring you the 7th race from from December 31st. The State Bred one of that allowance. 2-year-olds going 5.5 furlongs.
A little unlucky here for Sidearm in this race, a horse we will see get mildly shuffled out as they hit the break there, and I think that's one thing that his rider, Abel Castellano, who's been riding, okay, as things have gone on, he's getting a chance to get some more mounts. The meet goes on, but it's that same problem. Man, when you hit the break of the turn, you got to get a little off the rail, and of course, Sidearm wasn't helped by drawing the rail in this race.
No, the rail was a big problem for Sidearm here, as you'll see coming up down the backstretch. Things get a little bit tight as they go into the turn here, and Sidearm's going to steady and, lose a little bit of ground here, lose a little bit of momentum at this point.
Yeah, now that's not really the cause of his biggest problems. Maybe in retrospect, the rider would have been better off being a little bit less aggressive with him and letting him settle back more. But unfortunately, once he does this now, and he's doing the right thing now, he's angling out the 3 path, but he's got a long shot, the 9 horse, the longest shot on the board, Social Rebellion. He moves up outside of him, and he gets into a serious jackpot as they turn for home, because as they'll go into the next 16th of a mile, Sidearm's going to have absolutely nowhere to go. The rider's thinking, am I going to go inside? He wants to go outside, but he has to wait for the 9 Social Rebellion, who takes a while to clear. And by the time he gets outside in the clear, he's just got too much to do. He should have won.
He should have won. I think the inside post really the downfall, of this horse, and it's a tricky spot to be in. You always say you want to leave for position being down inside because you don't want to be, back in last. But sometimes it happens where you end up back that way anyway because you run into some traffic trouble, and then what happened at the top of the stretch obviously severely cost him.
Here's the question, though. You had a big duel, a 3-horse duel taking place, and 2 of the horses ran 1-2, I Love Lulu, as well as Sala Freud. would you say that Sidearm was taking advantage of dynamics of the race, and he's a horse that if he gets in, like let's say the next race he gets in, he draws a fair post, but there's only one speed, he may be victimized by the dynamics of the race because he was certainly helped by them here, even though he probably should have won.
Very true. He's a pace, and, you know, he's certainly a horse that needs pace, I think, and he's dependent upon a pace to make his best run. No pace, he's not going to, you know, be able to close as effectively, and a lot of pace he'll be able to close, even though he does get into some trouble in this race here. This might have been the best setup he'll get for a few starts.
Yeah, and I think once again, it's the reason you don't want to marry yourself. You bet a horse, you see him get in trouble, and you think, I can't wait to bet that horse back next time. And when that horse will run back, you still have to handicap the race. Now, you may want to elevate that horse 2-3 lengths, some reasonable amount. Don't get carried away because you bet it. But you still have to handicap the race and say, I liked him last time, I got unlucky last time, but is today the right day for him? And that's what handicapping is really all about.
That's some of the trickiest parts about being a trip handicapper, is not getting married to a horse and being able to, you know, objectively decide in their next start, you know, what's going on here and how much did the trouble last time really mean for this race today. Yeah,
and a lot of trip handicapping is seeing that races were won by the way they were run, or finding the races that were won by the way they were run. I think yesterday's 7th race, when I say yesterday, I mean January 1st, 7th race was a very good example of the last mover into a fast-paced, collapsing race having the advantage, and that's one of the things that makes handicapping such a fun exercise. Once again, trips and traps at NYRAInc.com. We can always use your help.
Thanks for watching.